You haven't failed because you're not good enough. You've failed because you've never dared to believe that you're the best. Not the best in other people's eyes, but in your own mind. No one walks into a room and earns respect if they're not sure they deserve to be there. The way you see yourself determines how the world treats you. That's the first principle of success. If you don't see yourself as a leader, no one else will either. I'm not talking about arrogance. I'm talking about presence, about energy, about a silent kind of belief, no boasting, no proving, just something that radiates from the way you walk, the way you speak. Successful people don't wait to achieve results before they act like winners. They act like winners from the very beginning, even when they're still warming up. That mindset, that posture creates a gravitational pull that makes opportunities seek them out, not because they're perfect, but because they act like they can't be defeated. Watch the people who command silence when they enter a room. They're not loud. They don't need validation. They just need to be there. Their presence carries an invisible signal. I know who I am. And you can be that too if you start acting like you're the best. No need to wait for achievements. No need for praise. You set the standard for yourself, and then you show up to the world with that standard without asking for permission. The world doesn't care where you came from. It cares how you walk. If you walk like you're scared, you'll be overlooked. But if you walk with certainty, even if no one knows your name, they'll notice. What makes you unforgettable is not your past, but the energy you bring in the present. And that energy starts with the way you speak to yourself each day. I belong here. I'm not here to try. I'm here to take over. But to maintain that energy, you must do the hardest thing of all, silence the whispers of doubt in your mind. Every time you're about to rise, it'll whisper, careful, you're not good enough. Every time you're about to speak up, it'll say, what if you're wrong? And those faint voices are exactly why you haven't broken through. You don't need to argue with them. You just need to act as if they don't exist. Every time you square your shoulders, lift your chin, and speak with certainty, you are reprogramming your brain. I am worthy. I am capable. I don't need permission. You don't need someone to lift you up. You need to grant yourself permission to enter the game as the one who's going to win. Remember, the biggest difference between ordinary and extraordinary isn't talent. It's the silent belief, I deserve something great. And you only need to start believing that today, quietly, without pressure, to stand up, act like no one's better than you, and the world will start taking you seriously. How badly do you want success? Not the I want it if I have time level, not the it would be nice level. I mean, the level where you can't bear to live a mediocre life for one more day. The level where the thought of not achieving your goal feels like having your right to live stripped away. Success doesn't come to those who want a little. It comes to those who are so hungry they have no way back. And that hunger isn't something everyone is born with, but it is something anyone can train. The difference between those who make history and those who drift through life is how badly they want it, not how talented they are. Thomas Edison didn't invent the light bulb because he was a genius. He was rejected, failed, laughed at thousands of times, but he didn't quit because he couldn't. He was obsessed. This wasn't a project, it was a reason to exist. And that obsession drove him to keep trying, keep learning, keep pushing until the world lit up in his footsteps. Be honest with yourself. What keeps you awake at night? What makes you go silent in a crowd because your mind is chasing an image in your head? What are you willing to do without needing reminders, without expecting rewards? That unnamed inner urge is the fire you must protect. Don't search for a reasonable goal. Don't pick what's easy. Choose the thing that makes your heart race, the thing that makes you feel alive. That is true desire. But desire is only the beginning. If you don't build a system around it, it will fade. Just like every New Year's resolution you've ever made, write down your goals. Not just to remember them, but to commit to them. When you write something on paper, you turn it from thought to shape, from wish to command. So many people dream, so few write, and almost none act. That's why you write, to remind yourself, this is no longer an idea, this is a campaign, this is what you'll live and die for. Every morning, before anyone else has the chance to judge you, visualize yourself having already achieved your goal. Not daydream like a fantasy, but see it clearly, vividly, specifically, like it's already real. Your brain doesn't distinguish between powerful imagination and real experience. When you see it clearly enough, your brain starts to believe it and commands your body to act like it's already true. And when you do this consistently, the world around you has no choice but to adjust to the direction you're moving in. But remember this, no one can keep that fire alive for you. Desire is an inner fire. No one sees it. No one can put it out except you. Every day you delay, it dims. Every time you compromise, it shrinks. But every bold action, every non-negotiable decision makes it flare back to life. Don't let it go cold because you fear being wrong. Mistakes won't kill you, but living without purpose will kill you slowly, and you won't even notice it. Success doesn't come to those with enough time. It comes to those who can't imagine a life without winning. When you truly want it, you don't wait for motivation. You don't need perfection. You just start. And you start today. Even if you're not ready, because the fire inside you is stronger than any excuse. The world will throw you away. Have you ever asked yourself, if you were certain you would succeed, how differently would you act? If there were no doubts, no fear of failure clinging to you, would you still hesitate, procrastinate, or make excuses for standing still? The truth is, most people don't fail because they lack ability. They fail because they wait. They wait for the perfect timing, wait for inspiration to strike, wait for someone's permission. But game changers don't wait. They walk into the arena as if victory is inevitable. They don't ask, can I do this? They ask, what's the next step to get there faster? That's the core difference. Successful people act as if failure isn't a possibility. It's a choice they will never make. Continue. When you walk with conviction, the world begins to adjust to receive you. Not because you're perfect, but because your energy sends out an undeniable message. I'm here to do something big, and I don't need your approval. Every step you take, every word you speak, every decision you make, if it comes from an unshakable belief that you will win, then the outcome sooner or later must surrender to that attitude. And if you act every day with that mindset, things begin to change. Opportunities show up. The right people appear. Doors you thought were locked suddenly open. But you must begin. No more waiting, no more excuses, no more letting your mood dictate your moves. The perfect moment will never come. Belief won't just appear on its own. You must create it with your decision. And you must behave as if the result is already written. You will succeed. You will get what you want because you don't allow any other outcome. Let me pause here and ask you something. If right now you dared to believe that losing was not an option, what is the first thing you would change in your life? Comment below, I'm ready to change. Or just type 1 so I know you're here, that you've read this far. For someone like me who creates content, your presence means everything, truly. It's not just a number or a view, it's a sign that someone is ready to transform. And I'm deeply grateful for that. Acting as if you can't lose means you stop waiting for permission. It means you write your own lead role without a director. It means that even if you have nothing in your hands today, you still walk with the posture of a winner. Head held high, unapologetic for dreaming big. Because you understand results always follow belief, never the other way around. You don't wait for success to believe you're worthy. You believe first, and then success arrives to confirm it. If you're still reading this, I believe you're someone who's ready. And if that's true, then from today on, stop acting like you're testing the waters. Act like you've already decided, like each day is a step you cannot take back, and like yes, you are someone who cannot be defeated. There will come a time when no one believes in you, not your family, not your friends, not your colleagues. They won't see what you see. They won't understand what you're building, and they won't cheer for you, won't support you. In fact, they may doubt you, laugh at you, or try to stop you. That moment will come, and in that moment you must choose. Either believe in the silence, the head shakes, the pitiful stares of others, or do something most people never dare to do, stand up alone and say to yourself, I believe in me. Self-belief isn't something you're born with, it's something you build. Day by day, through the choices no one sees, the decisions no one understands, the moments you keep going when all hope seems lost. Others will demand proof from you. They want evidence, they need results, but you must believe even before there's anything to prove. That's the difference between creators and followers. Creators don't need to be understood immediately. They just need to be silent enough to work and steady enough to continue when no one else remains. There's something strange about the world. It always doubts what it cannot yet see. It laughs at unformed dreams, mocks unsupported belief, judges actions that haven't yielded results. And yet that same world will celebrate you, admire you, praise you the moment your belief becomes reality. They'll call you lucky, talented, chosen, but you'll know the truth. You didn't collapse when the world turned its back. You didn't go silent when a voice inside you screamed louder than all of them, "I can do this." Everyone who's ever changed history once stood as the only person who believed in themselves. Henry Ford didn't wait for market support before building the automobile assembly line. Oprah Winfrey didn't need others to see her worth before she stepped onto the stage. What those people shared was this: they could stand alone, strong, firm, unshaken, not letting anyone, no matter how close, respected, or powerful, suffocate their personal conviction. And then the world followed, not because they forced it, but because they proved it with action, with the results, with a life too powerful to deny. The terrifying part isn't that no one believes in you, is that you stop believing in yourself. Because when you let that go, you don't just lose a chance, you lose the strongest version of you. You lose the ability to become the person you once saw in your dreams. You trade your future away just because the present feels unclear. But remember this: every dream you've had, every possibility you've felt, it's real, and it only needs one thing to exist: absolute loyalty to your own belief. No wavering, no bargaining, no asking for permission. There will be times when no one understands you, and that's okay. You weren't put here to be understood. You were put here to become someone no one saw coming. And that only happens when you dare to believe when no one else believes with you. That is the beginning of everything great. You can't live an extraordinary life if your mind is programmed to settle for mediocrity. The mind is the root operating system of your entire life. Every action, every reaction, every decision you make starts with what's running in your head, whether you're aware of it or not. And here's an undeniable truth: if you don't take the lead in reprogramming it, the world will do it for you, with fear, with doubt, with the limitations others placed on you since you were very young. Every phrase you repeat in your head, even just in thought, is a line of code you're embedding into your operating system. When you say, "I'm not good enough," you're not just saying words. You're issuing a command. You're rewriting how your brain responds to challenges. And if that gets repeated enough, it becomes an automatic system. You'll reject opportunities before they even show up. You'll reject yourself before anyone else ever has a chance to. But if you understand that mechanism, you can reverse it. You can rewrite the entire code base. You can choose new affirmations, powerful ones, not laced with self-pity, but infused with the weight of someone rising. I own my outcomes. I'm capable of achieving something great. I wasn't born to live within limits. These statements aren't meant to make you feel good. They are directives, commands to your brain, your emotions, and your behavior to operate in the direction you choose. And here's the miracle: the brain doesn't distinguish between what you actually experience and what you vividly imagine. Imagine yourself standing on a grand stage, achieving your biggest goal, lights shining on you, applause echoing. When you see it clearly enough, feel it strongly enough, your body starts to believe. And when that belief is repeated daily, your actions shift and your choices grow bolder and your results begin to reflect the energy you emit. Reprogramming your mind is not about watching a motivational video in the morning and moving on. It's a discipline. It's about guarding every thought that enters. It's about refusing to let phrases like "I can't," "I'm afraid," "I'm not sure" take root. Every day you reset your operating system by repeating who you want to become, by visualizing what you're about to achieve, and by rejecting your brain's default setting of doubt. I say this because I've seen too many talented people fall, not because they lack skill, but because they let their minds be controlled by others. They listened too long to advice from people who never tried. They let borrowed fears become real limits. But that doesn't have to continue. You can choose again. You can reprogram starting today. Without anyone's permission, without needing your past to change, just by looking at yourself through new eyes, the eyes of someone who holds the power. Your mind is fertile ground. Whatever seeds you plant will grow. If you constantly plant doubt, you'll harvest hesitation, indecision, burnout. But if you plant confidence, persistence, and unwavering trust in yourself, you'll harvest a life without limits. And you are the only one who can plant those seeds. No one else can do it for you. No one else has the right to program your life except you. The world doesn't pay high rewards to those who know many things shallowly. It rewards those who are so good they can't be replaced. In an era where everyone has access to information, the winners aren't the ones who know broadly. They're the ones who understand deeply. Not the ones who do a little bit of everything, but the ones who do one thing at a level that commands excellence. You don't need to know every skill. You just need to choose one field, go deep to the core, and become the best at it. Specialization is not some academic concept. It's a survival strategy for those who want to break through. You could work hard your whole life, but if you only know things at the surface level like everyone else, you'll be replaced easily. Because hard workers are everywhere. Tryhards are everywhere. But people who are truly great at one specific thing, rare. And that rarity is what creates value. Being so good you can't be ignored isn't a state. It's a commitment to lifelong learning, a commitment to the small details others skip, a commitment to relentless improvement even when you're already ahead of 99% of people. That's why the best are always simple yet effective. They aren't distracted by dozens of shiny skills. They know exactly what sets them apart, and they refine it to perfection. Look at the leaders in any industry. They don't do everything. They do one thing, but at a level that others can only admire. A surgeon can earn 10 times more than a general doctor. A violinist can become world famous by mastering a single piece of music. An investor doesn't need to be great at every area of finance. Just master one system and practice it until it becomes instinct. And all of them started from a single decision to not stop at good enough, but to reach irreplaceable. But mastery doesn't come from inspiration. It comes from your willingness to choose what you want to master and reject the rest. You can't go deep if you keep changing directions. You can't stand out if you keep chasing trends. There must come a moment when you say, I choose this path. I'll become great here. I'll learn it to the bone, train it until exhaustion, and make it my signature. From that moment on, you're no longer chasing busy work. You're building real value. Specialization doesn't limit you, it makes you known. When you're the best at something, the world comes to you. Opportunities arrive, invitations arrive, respect arrives. You no longer need to push your way in because you're in a position where people can't ignore you. And this is not a privilege for the special ones. It's the reward for those willing to pursue one thing to the very end, despite fatigue, despite boredom, despite advice to change direction. If you're doing many things but aren't truly great at any, stop. Choose again. Ask yourself, what is the one thing I'm willing to pursue for 5, 10 years? Not because it's trending, but because I truly love it. Then learn, then try, then fail, and learn again until that skill becomes tied to your name, so that when someone mentions that field, your name is part of the story. When you reach that level, the world can't overlook you, and you'll no longer have to chase value, you will be the value. The difference between a wasted life and a breakthrough life doesn't lie in luck nor in talent. It lies in a single moment, the moment you decide. Not a vague, half-hearted decision set just to sound good, but a decisive, no turning back, no negotiation with fear kind of decision. That's the beginning of every real transformation. When you decide, everything moves. When you hesitate, everything stands still. Yeah? Most people fail not because they don't know what they want, but because they don't dare to decide. They live in the gray zone of maybe tomorrow, I need more time, waiting for the right moment. But the right moment is a trap. It doesn't exist. And the longer you wait, the more familiar you become with procrastination until your entire life gets frozen in choices you never made. Look at the people you admire. They weren't the ones who knew all the answers from the start, but they shared one thing. They decided quickly. They picked a path. They moved toward it. And when they were wrong, they adjusted. But they didn't stay still. They didn't wait for perfection to act because they understood clarity doesn't come before action, it comes after. You can't plan for everything, but you can start, and it's the starting that teaches you what you need to know. People often believe they must feel absolutely certain before making a decision, but in truth, certainty is the result of commitment, not the prerequisite for it. You feel clarity only after you've chosen, after you've stepped in, after you've paid the price. And here's the beautiful part. Every decision you make makes you stronger. It trains your ability to trust your intuition, your inner power, your capacity to steer your life. On the flip side, every hesitation weakens you. Not outwardly, but inwardly. You start believing you need someone's approval to begin, and that makes you dependent, small, and blurry in your own story. Nothing destroys potential faster than hesitation. Every missed opportunity is a spot you give up. To someone else who dared to decide they're not better than you, they're just faster, bolder, more ready. They don't overanalyze themselves into paralysis. They choose, they act, they adjust. They repeat, and the world has no reason to choose you if you don't dare to choose yourself. Remember, you don't need all the answers to make a decision. You just need enough commitment to start with what you have. Every next step will reveal itself as you move forward. No decision is perfect, but every decisive action has power. It builds momentum, it creates movement, and it turns you from passive observer into active creator. If you're still standing at a crossroads, look straight into what scares you most and ask, what's worse, failing after trying or living forever with regret for never trying at all? Life won't wait for you forever. Opportunities don't knock twice in the same way. Don't let hesitation become your lifestyle. Decide. And once you do, don't look back, because every great journey begins with one person alone, making one bold decision. I will change this life, starting right now. No one succeeds without falling down. No great journey comes without failure, heartbreak, or moments where it feels impossible to go on. But one thing makes the difference between those who reach the end and those who quit halfway, and that's perseverance. Not the idealized kind written on posters, but the quiet, unseen, uncelebrated kind, where you keep going, even when tired, even when discouraged, even when your mind screams, just give up. Every person you now call successful had a time when no one knew their name. They weren't recognized, they were rejected, they failed, they were misunderstood. But they didn't stop, not because they were stronger, but because they understood a simple truth. As long as they could still stand back up after falling, they hadn't lost. Every failure had one job, to test whether they really wanted what they said they wanted. And when they proved they wouldn't break easily, doors started to open. Think about Edison, who failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. Think about Ford, who went bankrupt before redefining the auto industry, or Walt Disney, once dismissed as lacking imagination. All of them were knocked down, but none of them stayed down. Every fall taught them something. Every rejection sharpened them. They stood back up and continued. Because they didn't come to be praised, they came to build what no one dared to imagine. Perseverance doesn't come from emotion, it comes from a decision you already made, that you will not quit, no matter what. When you commit to a goal, not because it's easy, not because it's fast, but because you believe in it, you gain the strength to keep going, even when all you have left is willpower. There will be days when you see no progress, nights when you wonder if you are wasting your life, but it's those very days and nights that forge your real resilience. Anyone can persevere when things are smooth. Only the extraordinary keep going when everything turns against them. You don't need to avoid failure. You need to learn how to rise quickly after a fall. Every time you don't stay down forever, you get closer to the person you want to become. You can't control everything along the path, but you can control how you respond. And if your response is to move forward, life has no choice but to make way for you. Perseverance isn't about energy, it's about choice. The choice to move when stopping is easiest. The choice to believe when all evidence says otherwise. The choice to take one more step forward when everyone says you should turn back. That's the one thing all truly successful people have, and no one can teach it to you. You must choose it. Every day, every failure, every time you're knocked down. No lasting success exists without perseverance at its core. The more storms you withstand, the more worthy you become of the destination you're chasing. And one day, when others ask how you got there, you'll just smile and say, I didn't quit. That's all. You can have clear ambition, big goals, and a mind fully programmed for success. But if you're surrounded by the wrong people, everything will slowly fade away, not because you're weak, but because the mental environment around you is reshaping you bit by bit in ways you don't even notice. The daily conversations, the energy you absorb, the attitudes you listen to, they all affect your thinking, your emotions, and your vision far more than you realize. You can't fly far if you're surrounded by people who don't believe flight is even possible. Environment isn't just a physical space, it's people. It's the ones you talk to every day, the ones you choose to listen to. It's the fragments of belief you absorb through their feedback, their reactions, their quiet shrugs that say, don't dream too big. And those tiny things, repeated often enough, start rewriting your operating system quietly, gently, but profoundly. No one can maintain a bold vision if they're constantly surrounded by daily doses of doubt. They need to look at the people you admire. They don't walk alone. They have a small circle, not large, but sharp, where big thinking is normal, where above average effort is the standard, where everyone holds each other to greatness. They know no one grows in isolation, but no one evolves in a misaligned crowd either. Success is a form of resonance. You need people who raise your frequency, not pull you back to the ground. If you constantly shrink yourself out of fear of being judged, if you hide your dreams to avoid criticism, if every conversation with loved ones feels like a battle to defend your ideals, then you are not in the right place. And no, you don't need to cut everyone off, but you do need to become aware of who is fueling your energy and who is slowly draining the life out of your mind. Protecting your dreams doesn't mean fighting the world. It means choosing the right people to walk with. Building the right circle isn't hard, but it requires you to become valuable first. When you are someone who keeps learning, keeps sharing, keeps holding high standards, you'll begin to attract people just like you. People who don't need long explanations. People who understand your silence means focus. People who hear your crazy ideas and don't flinch, but simply ask, what's the next step? When you're around those kinds of people, your thinking expands. You stop limiting yourself. You begin seeing potential where once you saw fear. The truth is, you don't need many people, just the right few. One person you can text at 2 a.m. to say, I've got this idea. One person who will honestly say, you're off track when you start drifting. One person who will celebrate your wins without envy, sarcasm, or doubt. That's an invaluable asset. And if you don't have it yet, start by becoming that person first. Matching energy will bring the right ones to you. Remember, you always become the average of your 5 closest friends. If you want to change your life, start by changing who stands beside you. Success isn't just about the self. It's the result of the mental ecosystem you choose to live in every day. And you can redesign that ecosystem starting now. Fear isn't your biggest enemy. It's the silent one. Persistent, subtle, weaving its way into every decision, every dream, every word you never dared to speak. It doesn't shout in your face. It whispers. It asks sweet but poisonous questions. What if you fail? Are you really good enough? What if they laugh at you and you think you're being cautious, realistic, wise? But no, you're being controlled. Fear doesn't kill you instantly. It corrodes you from the inside, bit by bit. It makes you choose safety over opportunity. It makes you stay quiet when you should speak up. It makes you step back when you should lean in. And worst of all, it disguises itself as logic, as waiting for the right time, as being sure first. But the truth is, there's no perfect moment, no absolute certainty, no such thing as total safety in this life. You have only 2 choices. Move forward with fear, or let it make every choice for you. Successful people aren't fearless. They tremble, they hesitate, they feel lost too, but they don't back down. They treat fear as a signal. You're getting close to something that matters. Because if nothing worthwhile were ahead, fear wouldn't show up. They use fear as a compass, not as a chain. Every time their heart races with worry, they don't retreat, they press forward. Because they know that on the other side of fear lies breakthrough. And only those who dare to cross that line will ever reach the life others only dream of. You don't need to destroy fear. You just need to look it in the eye and refuse to let it drive. Picture yourself behind the wheel. Fear's in the passenger seat. It can speak, it can complain, but you're the one steering. You decide to keep going no matter how loud that voice gets. You don't need to be brave all the time. You just need to stop letting fear dictate your actions. Maybe fear made you delay an opportunity. Maybe you declined a call, canceled a meeting, frozen an idea just because it didn't feel safe. But think about it. How many times have you regretted not trying? How often have you asked yourself, what if I had? And then you realize what hurts isn't failure. It's never starting at all. Fear is the final test before every leap. It's not a wall, it's a door. The problem is you've gotten used to turning around every time you see it. It's time to change. When you face fear, you don't just overcome an obstacle, you redefine yourself. You become someone who stays clear-headed even when every instinct screams run. And someone like that, sooner or later, becomes unstoppable. Success, courage, freedom, they all lie behind the things that scare you the most. So stop asking how to eliminate fear. Start asking, do I have enough resolve not to be ruled by it? Because if you don't, you'll live your whole life in a false comfort zone, never knowing how far you could have gone. But if you're brave enough to keep walking with fear, despite fear, you'll discover this. On the other side is the strongest version of you, waiting to be met.